I'm Josh Cooperman with Convo by Design, and this is WestEdge Wednesday. And the panel you're going to hear today, Connected versus Unconnected. This incredible group of design creatives discussed and chopped up this topic of everything from connecting via technology, disconnecting, and reconnecting with people, and how all that impacts design and the way people live in those design projects. It's amazing. This all took place on a stage designed by Julie Berline of JKB Design. And this year, the WestEdge Design Fair Theater was presented by Pacific Sales Kitchen and Home, a Best Buy company for whom we are incredibly grateful. They did a remarkable job, and we're so thankful for them. This program, Connected versus Unconnected, the Future of Home, I think you're going to absolutely love it. It is moderated by Erika Heet of Interiors Magazine and features Kristi Nelson of KM Nelson Design, Adam Hunter of Adam Hunter Inc., Ginger Curtis of Urbanology Designs, and Jaqui Seerman of Jaqui Seerman Designs. It's a great program. I know you're going to love it. Erika, take it away.
Thank you, Josh, and thank you all for being here. I know it's closing day, but we're gonna close it out real strong here. And thank you all for being part of this. And our esteemed panelists are going to introduce themselves. So I'll start. I'm Erika Heet. I am the editor-in-chief of Interiors Magazine. I've been in publishing for a zillion years. And this is my favorite part of my job, is to connect with you and to host wonderful panelists such as you. So take it away, Kristi.
Hi, I'm Kristi Nelson, the owner of KM Nelson Design. We have offices here in Los Angeles and also in rural North Carolina in the Blue Ridge Mountains. We do luxury commercial and residential design. And any excuse I have to be back in Los Angeles is a great one, especially when I get to spend it with Erika and Josh. So very excited to be here. Thank you.
That was really good. You did that really well. I'm Adam Hunter. Hi. My studio is based here in Los Angeles, residential projects throughout the country, and I'm honored to be on this panel today.
Hi guys, I'm Ginger Curtis of Urbanology Designs. We're based in Dallas-Fort Worth, but we do projects. Yes, that's right. We do projects all over the country. We do residential and commercial renovation, new construction, you name it.
I'm Jaqui of Jaqui Seerman Design. I've had my company for the past 10 years based here in Los Angeles, and like the rest of you, we do residential design and hospitality design, new build, as well as renovations of historic properties.
Cool.
Hi everyone, my name is Marbe from Marbe Design. Thank you all for being here. I am an architect in interiors and interior design, and I'm practiced for almost 18 years. I have my own studio based in Glendale, and I practice high-end residential and commercial here in the States and in Europe as well.
Very nice. So we're here today to talk about connecting, unconnecting, disconnecting, unplugging. I wouldn't mind unplugging for the next, 4 years or so, but that's a different story. Sorry. Okay, so let's get a temperature check on what your clients are looking for as far as home automation. Let's start with home automation. Like, what are they wanting? Do you want to kick us off?
Sure. So I would say that there's definitely a mix, and it's driven by, more than anything, I think, age range. My older clients, so, sort of 40 up, probably they want to be connected enough to, have the fun automation, but at the same time, they need their time away as well. So having space where they can go and completely disconnect is as important as having, the toys and what have you, but definitely not feeling like 24/7 they're connected.
When you say connected, are you talking about the automation of the house, or are you
Yes.
talking about being online?
Home automation.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I think that people, certainly in luxury, they want to be able to control their homes from their phones and make things as easy as possible. However, I'm sort of seeing a swing back to simpler and cleaner. People don't want as many buttons. I think they want to feel a little freer. They want to turn on the tactile moment of turning on a lamp and plugging in your floor and changing your mood and not having everything be a scene. I know that I personally just left my own home, which before that I sold, it was like a showroom as far as having a lighting designer, and everything was, and I want the opposite this time. I don't want any Crestron, any Josh AI, any Savant, nothing. I just want a lamp and turn it on.
I totally agree. I think it's sort of pivoting a little bit where it's not having technology just for the sake of having technology, and sort of asking, like, does this really enhance or improve, or is it one more thing? Is it something glowing or dinging or ringing or buzzing? What's happening with this technology? I will say where we see it impact in a really positive way is, and where our clients ask for it, is the automation of shades and curtains. And when you've got a huge home in Texas that's really expansive and you can't even reach the top, then that's a type of automation that I feel like our clients find very valuable.
Yeah, I think in addition to that, lighting as well, because it's a cost savings to have shades down. It reduces the temperature in your house, and as well as lighting, you can really reduce your impact and the amount of energy that you're using. So our clients aren't going with home systems as much anymore because they're seeing that technology is advancing so fast. Usually installing them is only going to last for the next 5 years. So they're going different routes where they're focusing on good lighting systems that are simple to use, cost effective for the long term of the house, but then maybe investing in different technology such as solar or recycling water, or using different aspects of security that are technology based.
Yeah, I agree with Kristi. It also depends on the demographic of your client, but I think our job is to guide them to not be too much of the spectrum, like too much of technology or too much of not technology. It's just always good to be balanced. And like you said, Ginger, I used a lot of my clients wants everything like shades automation, like lighting automation is super safe, because if you're not in your house or you're abroad, you actually can control your house privacy with that. It's super important to have that. So many things that we can have it importantly on our house, but not everything is necessary.
It's kind of amazing from a security point of view. And so I imagine that your clients are concerned about security to a certain extent, especially like the super high profile folks that you work with. And so that must be a benefit. What I admire about technology is that it's largely hidden, and as well it should be. I mean, technology, screens, servers, they're not sexy, they're not editorial. We're constantly, frankly, getting rid of them, even little switches. We're just disappearing them for print and online. Are you finding yourselves having to work around? What are your thoughts on buttons and screens and such? How do you deal with them as designers?
Well, they have to be beautiful, and most of the time they're not, and so they're being edited out, and it's really a pain. But then we're seeing these fantastic companies like Forbes and Lomax who are introducing these really beautiful features with the toggle
That's
switch.
just what I was going to say.
Yeah. Right?
My whole
what
house
an
is going to be that now.
experience.
Yeah, it's so beautiful.
I just want to go by and just flip it because
You just want to touch it.
You want to touch it. You want to interact with it, and I think that that's really, really meaningful. And so if it's not beautiful, we're complaining about it, right? That's why, what designer loves televisions? I mean, we're constantly trying to figure out, how do we hide these? How do we be creative? How do we
I'm a TV
put art?
addict, so like as
Okay,
a
come
TV
on.
person, I'm obsessed, but you're right, they're not pretty to
not
look at.
pretty.
I think the Samsung TV, which people are actually, now the picture frame, that people are, it's such a less expensive piece than they were putting in rooms, but they're so much prettier. You know what I mean? Yeah. I know it's pretty basic, but it's pretty easy. But I actually love luxury technologies. I think Bang & Olufsen inspired me when I was growing up in the 80s, and I think there's ways, and this sort of makes the case of, I made a marble iPhone dock many years ago when the iPhone came out, because I thought, this is going to be in our lives. How can we make it reside somewhere beautifully? So I do think there's that opportunity.
Yeah, I think it's again a balance. Like it's either hidden in this sense. I just want it to be hidden, or if it's outside, it has to be decorative and thoughtful. It has to be planned. It has to be intentional. Yeah. Otherwise, it's not gonna go with the room or the designs that we're working on.
Yeah, it's as bad or worse than if it were just there and acknowledge that it's there. I mean, to your point about the television components where you can have the frame and the art, I mean, a lot of it is so ugly
Yeah.
that I would rather just have the television there and,
I agree with that. Unless you make your frame, I agree with you.
Right, exactly.
I mean, but there's also the thought of what's happening in the future with augmented reality, where TVs won't even exist because it'll be in your glasses.
Yeah.
I have this project that
Crazy.
I put a TV on the ceiling because the bed is facing the Atlantic. So I just hide the TV, and then it comes out when it's
Right.
needed.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
still have your view, and you don't see the
Right.
the TV there.
And
so
we've done that. I still like to do screens that are hidden in mirrors, because then if you're having a meeting or you're doing something on Zoom and you can just project it onto, from the mirror, it looks great. It's totally concealed otherwise. And the clarity of the picture is pretty extraordinary. So, depending on the quality.
Do you see yourself in the mirror as you watch it, though?
No.
Oh, good, because I would
it
not like
takes
that.
over the whole.
They're both.
It takes over
Oh
the
my
whole
God.
thing. So it's really,
really cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
We love a hidden screen
Yeah.
as editors. And, well, I have kind of a selfish question. How do you feel about, for photo shoots, we really like to avoid the screens, like I mentioned. Is it impossible or difficult to throw a painting up instead of having that just, here's a big old screen in the middle of your beautiful room that you've designed?
I'm going to take on this one pretty quick because, yes, that's the debate. Many designers like to have the TV on when they have their photo shoot, like it's a TV. I think that is not necessary. I think that we can shut the TV and have the black screen if the TV is exposed. Because most of the real estate, when you're selling a house, you want to sell that house that has the TV. But if it's a design space, you don't want to be the TV like a center of the room. You just put the black frame. That's my opinion. So,
I
going
also
to your
think it
question.
depends on the backdrop of where the television is. Is it on a black or dark wall and it sort of recedes? And so we did a television in a really dark walnut bookcase. And when the photos came back, I was like, you know what? It's working. It's not offensive. There's no sins being committed here. And it was so dark. And so I think if you were to put it on a bright white wall and you've got this black television that feels very sort of intrusive to the space, then that makes a difference as well.
It's also good design, making sure that you're selective about not having visible TVs in every single space so that the client can step away from that social aspect and have a room that's low tech, but still have the availability of screens when
I'm a
required.
no TV in bedroom
Same,
guy.
same.
I don't know if you guys are for your clients, but that's
Depends on my client, but I don't like the idea to have TV everywhere. I had a client, we had TV in the bathroom for her. But I always like to
That's
clients
when you do the
not-
mirror.
Right.
The mirror
exactly.
TV.
Yeah.
But I don't think it depends on the client, but to me, I don't think it's healthy.
Personally, I like them everywhere, but that's for me personally. So it's, but for my clients, probably I'm much more judicious about it for aesthetic reasons. And yeah, I mean, for the most part, I don't think for mental health reasons that it's a great thing to have a television in every room, especially nowadays with so many people, especially younger, 30 and down, having so many anxiety issues. And then you have that technology around constantly, whether it's your phone, a television in every room or whatever it is is adding to that sense of anxiety and that lack of, I think, feeling safe and secure.
I want to return to that. Let's finish about rooms because I would like to hear from each of you if there are certain rooms that you're working on automation on more frequently than others. For example, kitchens tend to have like a lot of automation these days. I guess the bedroom might just be the shades. I'm not seeing it so much in bathrooms. So are there, of course, media rooms. So are there certain rooms that clients are really wanting automation in more than others? Like where does it make sense?
I think definitely theaters always. People are still going for a very nostalgic, like home theater aspect. So there's a lot of technology that goes into everything from the screen to the sound system to the automation of the seats and the comfort level that's available there. Always lighting. A lot of our clients are very health conscious. So they're thinking about home automation systems that have certain areas that are set to their circadian rhythm. So the lighting system is automatically dimming to help them wind down or help them come up in the middle of the day or when they're supposed to be at peak performance without having to touch anything. And then of course outside is definitely a space that there's a lot of automation because it's so vast and there's not a lot of products available right now that are on and off, and you want your exterior to perform at peak, like the moment you're outside, rather than going around and necessarily plugging in or turning on fixtures.
Yeah, so ditto to that, 100% lighting. It's a huge demanding to be automated. Also, I have some clients that want to automate the stove because they're not in their house. They're gonna have it cook something and they can control it from the phone and turn it off. So how much? Yes, so you can have requested crazy ideas and things like that. I'm doing a waterfall right now in a wine cellar, and they wanted to have it automated. So it's beyond.
Different strokes for different folks. We've got a client right now, it's a new construction project, and he asked if we could automate the trash can going from his garage to the curb. True story.
You say no?
We told him no.
Yeah, good.
I was like, where do you draw
like,
the
dude.
line?
You have to have some exercises.
You can walk
like you
3
have to move.
feet.
Right. I was like, we are not nixing the lighting budget so that we can move the trash from the garage to the driveway.
10,000 steps a
People that
day.
work in your house.
Yeah,
so that
right.
someone
The
can't take
600
it.
people can take it.
You couldn't put in a track. I mean,
That's funny.
oh, that's ridiculous. Okay, so let's move to mental health, and we have a whole generation of young folks that some of us have raised to just scream orders at a computer. You know, I don't like it. I don't like Alexa do this, Alexa do that. You know, I don't like it. Let's touch on the mental health aspect, and let's just open it up. Whatever clients are asking for, of course, but your thoughts on how technology affects mental health,
Right.
especially of the younger folks.
So I actually have very personal feelings about this. I have a daughter who struggles with mental health, and she's 25 years old. Grew up with social media, grew up with it being 24/7, and she has major anxiety issues, and also just having blue light, having technology around her. She's gotten to the point where in her bedroom there is no technology whatsoever. She has an old school alarm clock, like the one you wind, so that there's
Good.
no technology there, and that is her peaceful place. And it is actually rolling over into my clients and other projects as well, that more and more are saying, I want one room that is nothing. You know, I'll get a record player and have a record player. I will, make it as manual and old school as possible. And they spend so much time in those spaces because it is full unwind, and that has really become a much, much bigger priority.
I think technology can go as far as the person wanted to go.
But it can turn into an addiction too.
It can turn into addiction, and it's dangerous for your whole mental health or your plasticity of the brain. You want to keep thinking and doing things yourself. You cannot have technology to control even your brain of thinking. It's going to be Alzheimer involved when you are 60, or depending on something that is not yourself is a little dangerous in my opinion.
Go ahead.
I was going to say that it's kind of a tough topic to talk about because technology is only going to continue to advance and be more prevalent in our lives in very small ways. And I think it's up to us to really monitor what is for the best practices for our own health, and taking time out as an individual to say, this is the best way that I can perform in my space, because our homes will need to be connected. We are going to have internet.
Yeah.
We are going to have virtual assistants, and it's only going to advance further. So right now it's very minimal and we're adjusting, but it's only going to be more. So we have to be really thoughtful about how we, as an individual, on a basis are interacting with technology in our spaces, but personal choice.
And thinking about boundaries too, and my first thought goes to, our kids. I have 5, and
Whoa.
yeah, y'all can pray for me. And so one of the things that we implemented, so years ago when my son, he's now 25, my oldest is 25, my youngest is 11, when my 25-year-old was in 2nd grade, maybe 3rd grade, he came home and he said, Neo, his best friend, got a cell phone. And I was like, what? I mean, it just blew my and this was how many years ago? This was a long time ago. And I started realizing, okay, what's coming? All the kids are going to have them. They're going to have them at early ages. And so we did something a little bit different with our kids. We kind of rebelled against the culture, and we were like, man, I don't necessarily know if we want to go that route. They don't have the ability to set boundaries for themselves. And so it's up to us. And so for our home, upstairs, no technology whatsoever. In their bedrooms and on the stairwell and the landing, no, none whatsoever. So they're not up all night. They're not, and then also going back to blue light and then circadian rhythm. You were talking about that. I also have a daughter who's 21, and she struggles with insomnia, having nothing to do with technology. But her doctor said, no blue light, absolutely not. That you do not. The last thing that you do should not be to look at a screen, a television, or your phone before you try to go to sleep. So I think it's a really important topic.
My sister's a parenting psychiatrist, and that's one of her biggest things was the iPhone and when you give the phone and when you give it to them. So I think you're doing everything really right. But it is something that you have to be careful of. It is something that's easy for me to fall into. The last 6 months, I've definitely been in a TikTok hole, and as of the way the climate is changing right now, I think I need to take 4 years off.
Let's do it. Let's agree.
Right?
Support
You're talking
that.
about that.
I'm a mom
I
too,
think I
like
am going to
Ginger.
take 4 years off.
And I have control to my kids. No phone on the table when we are having dinner or eating. No phone in certain time of the day. Otherwise, they get addicted to it. And it's the generation. We cannot stop it, like you said, but we have to control it.
Well, there are advancements right now. I have young kids also, and the community is coming together as a whole, and they're saying, okay, this isn't the best for during school. If you have it in the evening, then your parent can monitor it, but we are taking boundaries, and we will, as a community, come together with an option. But it's not going to be slowing down technology, because that's already
Correct.
going. That's sailed.
Right, but there are ways of blocking it out and creating space. Sorry. The whole security situation and having Siri and having Alexa and Josh AI. So that technology is constantly listening to you. So it is hearing everything you say 24/7 unless you go in and specifically go into settings and turn it off at certain times.
But that's
Even-
also optional.
And even then,
it's an optional
Even
service.
then.
yeah. And so all of that, every picture you take, anyone can grab it off of the internet. I've seen incredible tech installations where, in fact, in Germany, there was an artist who did one, and it was billions of photos of people just flashing. And it was everything that they were grabbing off the internet in real time of people's, of everyone. So it's to the point of, within your home, I have clients, I know of other designers who also have clients that privacy and security are really, really big deals, especially if they're in government or whatever their position is, and they're having conversations that are so private that they will create rooms, and we have done rooms where the walls are so thick that a signal doesn't pass through it, so that they can go somewhere and have a conversation that cannot be traced. It's it's extreme, but
Well, I think all of these are examples also of personal preference, because we're all engaging in this very interesting social experiment that is socials online, and we're contributing a lot to it, some more than others, and some are contributing elements that may not be as savory 10 years down the road. But if we're teaching, consciousness and like being aware of what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, like that's what we do with our children, is like be thoughtful about who's taking your picture and what you're doing. And you can't always control it, but you're being perceived both as on a person basis, a human basis, but also digitally.
Yeah.
And then in addition to that, like with the security aspects, I was very curious about the security settings that we have in our homes and the cameras that are available. And like we all have to, usually the issue of hacking doesn't come because there's a guy in a van that's down the street and he's hacking into your camera system. And that's like what we're all afraid of, is like someone's gonna be able to see what we're doing. But it really comes down to us not being educated users. And there's a lot of like phishing emails that go around and they ask you to, your security system needs you to sign back in, and you sign in and then all of a sudden your security system is hacked. So, or having the same password on every single account that you have, which I think we're all guilty of. Like being smarter as technology advances will protect us in a lot of those settings.
Yeah, I mean, technology can certainly enhance our security, but it can be incredibly invasive on a privacy level. I mean, am I a conspiracy theorist? I have all of my privacy things set to super high. I will talk about something, and my phone will feed it to me. Does this happen? Seriously, show of hands. Okay, so somehow there are technologies in place that are bypassing our rules.
It's the cookies.
It's cookies. Yeah.
It's the cookies.
It's not your voice, it's the cookies on your computer.
Yeah.
So if you clear your cache, you can avoid that.
Right.
Okay, well, it happens on my phone too, so how do I?
Same thing. You
Okay,
can do the
clear.
same.
Cookies. By the way, as a complete aside, the LAPD, their number one concern and sort of the FBI is cyber attack. And when, like after 9/11 and other things, and there was this concern about physical attacks on the West Coast, for instance. And they're like, I was at a conference that was done, and they said that is not our concern at all, because the amount of time it takes for somewhere, overseas to get around to the West Coast, for the most part, you're going to know that they're coming and we can deal with it. However, on the cyber side, it's a constant and massive, massive threat. So,
You mean in hacking or like shutting down of systems or accessibility?
Any and all of it. Any and all of it.
Well, what's interesting about that, because I know that we did a panel as well, we did like a pre-call about this very interesting topic, but part of it was connectivity and how you prevent being disconnected in times where you need it the most, like in an emergency. And there are a lot of settings or services that are available, and I know this is going to be a taboo topic to bring up for some people, but Starlink is definitely a provider that offers an internet service that won't be interrupted in the form of a national emergency or a flood, or you'll have service available to you and you won't have to deal with outages. But
assuming that you have electricity and you're
Right.
Right. And that's another thing that's one of the main other things our clients are asking for, because I know that you guys probably have a lot of projects that are in more remote locations, but integrating solar systems that are powering batteries that can be used that will power your home for 4 or 5 days, and then having additional backup generators that will give you 3 days, and then having additional generators that are set. Our clients are all installing those in the case of emergencies, because we know in like remote locations, especially in Malibu, there are outages, or in the hills here. There are a lot of times where if there's an earthquake, you're going to be up there for a moment on Mulholland, and you're going to need to have power. And so our clients are always thinking about safeguarding themselves in that regard, and that's part of the technology that we're always considering.
But that's not always available everywhere. Like, for instance, where we are in North Carolina, solar power was not an option until very recently. Duke Power and Energy owned everything, and they were controlling what was accessible. And it's only recently that solar fields have gone in, because you can put solar panels on, but if there's not a solar field that is actually on the grid that can generate the power, it's pointless.
Right. So if people are ordering generators, and the first thing that goes out in an emergency is power, internet, cell towers. So beyond Starlink, I mean, are there other entities that are.
Well, there are definitely other providers other than Starlink that are doing it from a satellite basis. So it's not on the ground and it's not towers. So it is direct to consumer. And then there's also the aspect of they're now converting solar panel into battery packs that are on your campus. So this is new technology. And what's great about it is it wasn't available
Exactly.
then. And as maybe in contrast to the topic of what we were talking about, it is a little bit low tech to have it be a hands-off sun-generated thing that is still going to give us accessibility in
Jackie,
in our
you're
times of
teaching me so
need.
much.
It's amazing.
God, thank you.
I hope you're taking notes. Okay, we have to talk about AI. AI is so stupid, you guys. But okay, it's here. AI and design has kind of an interesting relationship. AI is not taking our jobs. It cannot take our jobs. It can't write. I don't want it to write for me. I want it to do the dishes and take out the garbage and put the garbage cans on the street, right? What are your riff on AI? How do you like it? How do you hate it?
I don't hate it, but I don't love it. I think it's there, again, to stay, but we can use it wisely in certain things as a designer to use it as a tool to help us with our business or designs. But I think it's not going to take over because design is very personal. Design is very humanized. And I don't think AI is going to take that over what we do.
And just the execution. That's one of the most difficult things on a project is the execution, and AI is not going to execute that for you. And so, it's
After the garbage.
That's what exactly. It is a hot topic right now, and I've heard a lot of panels and designers kind of talking about it. And one of the things that I'm hearing a lot of the designers say, especially those who have really sort of dug in to exploring AI, is it's just not there on the design side. I mean,
But we're working on it. We're working on
and
it.
maybe it'll get there.
I'm actually starting
but
a business
Watch what we're
which is
tweeting.
bringing AI and design together, exactly that, because someone came to me last year with some software that did seem a little dystopian, and it did seem pretty shocking in what it was able to do. No, it wasn't shopping from the Invisible Collection, Studio 27, and all the more places. However, it was pretty remarkable and scary enough that I'm sort of partnering with them because I think what's interesting here is to bring designers along.
Yes.
Right,
To
it's
not leave
true.
designers
But
in the
it's-
dust, to
it's
make
like
sure
Erika
that they're...
says, she doesn't want the AI to write for her.
Right.
Because she's a natural.
Of course,
a
there are
natural.
things that
Yes.
our clients will need us to hold their hands and be their therapists, right?
True.
Forever. That's part of it. So AI can't do that.
But I don't want the AI to design for me, like Erika. You know what I mean?
What if
Like
you
that.
could make money from it?
Well, it's not, sometimes we like money. I do like money, right? We work for that, but sometimes it's not about money. It's about creativity, and when you are a true artist, it's about the creation that you do.
There is an opportunity, though, where you can expand your own aesthetic and your own design to other people around the globe, your own personal design through AI. So that's sort of where
I'm
I'm
gonna say
thinking.
no because we never
No,
know.
I get it.
But
I've decided to
I
lean
hear
into
Dying
it.
to hear more
No.
about it.
Yeah,
so.
I've definitely
decided.
decided to lean into it as well. And I find that it isn't there yet, but like you said, it's going to be. And there's always going to be an audience that's looking for the level of service that we're providing. We're doing very big houses that would be very difficult for an individual to do on their own without a specialized team of professionals to do it. But there is a person out there that could really utilize it in a home that's between 2,000 and 3,000 square foot, where you could technically decorate that home yourself, and they could reference a platform like you're talking about, Adam, that would give them access to designer pieces and designer sources that would be great for us.
There's
Yeah.
a sense of it's piercing the veil. It's democratizing interior design, which has been sort of a thing that I've been wrestling with, right? Because it is a luxury sport that we're all involved in, that people are privileged enough to be able to. I couldn't hire any of you girls. You know what I mean?
Same to you.
So I mean,
Thank you
there are
for that.
people. But what if that opportunity? I mean, look at Marc Jacobs, and look at Isaac Mizrahi for Target. Why do we have to be so close to the vest and so snobby? Why can't we give ourselves to other people to enhance their lives? I mean, we're living in such a strange time right now, where home and your dopamine and serotonin need to be elevated, and you need to be your home should rise up to meet you. And why shouldn't you have that opportunity to find the design which is in the mix?
One way that we really do lean into AI in a big way is on the back end to run the business and operations and things like that. And so now
smart.
there's AI for QuickBooks and reconciling accounts and different things like that. One handy little thing that has sort of changed my life recently is an AI device called Plod, and it's a recording device, and I can take that into a new client consultation meeting, and it'll record every single detail. So what's happening when I'm meeting with the
That's
client
awesome.
is I am frantically taking notes, I'm pausing, I'm asking questions. Something is going to get lost in translation. Even when I have somebody else also writing notes, things get missed. And just, I want to be able to take the time to ask, you know, to go back on a thought or something. It's recording the whole thing. It'll create an instant summary in 35 seconds for you. And then out of that summary, you can say, okay, using AI that's plugged into this device, give me, out of this consultation, I want to know what are the top 10 most important things to this client. What do they want in their home? And then, oh, thank you for that, by the way. Now go ahead and send me a recap email. Write a recap email to Mr. and Mrs. Jones, please. And, you know, recapping the consultation, how things went. 15 seconds later, there's your recap email. That is time.
And employees,
Ginger,
and employees that you're
I'm
not
sorry.
paying.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
no, I'm saying that it's great what you're saying, and I agree with you. And this is when AI come great to me, but I'm most likely against of creativity, the creativity part of it. You know, to take over your creativity. Like, for example, as an artist, art has a meaning and they have soul. And the artist speaks. If I go to museums all the time, and you can feel the artist every time you visit. I don't think that AI is going to replace that. And if it does, I think it's very vague because it doesn't have soul. It doesn't have meaning. That is great. I need that.
You need
name,
everybody
'cause
in this
I'm
room
gonna-
needs it.
I want
that.
to use that.
I like to still write my meeting recaps because I find that it's really refreshing. The girls in my office also do, and we do take the time to send those letters out that are handwritten and notes that are handwritten. But I do find in automation, what's interesting about AI is that it's helping to program systems faster. So what we see with our AV teams or our lighting designers is projects that used to take 3 or 4 months to automate and set up a home system are now taking 2 weeks. And so that's really helpful for us getting our clients in the door quickly.
The big hack with that I'm learning is Lutron Cassetta, which is basically taking a $50,000 Lutron system, and you can buy it for $249 right now on Amazon, and it's the same thing. And people who are in these major Roberts audio video, Sean O'Connor, lighting designer, like major people are using this little device to, you know, do the same thing.
Right, but it also makes it available to everyone.
Yeah, which I love.
Which is so exciting because everyone will be able to have the high level of design and integrated system that we're hoping to have, which is so special. And it's not even, the systems are getting smaller and smaller. Like they used to, a home automation system used to have an entire rack that was in, you know, like a
A
whole
rack
room. And then it's slowly been shrinking down to like
Had that.
a linen closet size, and pretty soon it's going to fit in a cabinet. So it's great, and AI helps with that. It helps to minimize what we're seeing in terms of technology in our house.
Right.
Okay, I stand corrected. AI is super smart.
No, I think people are very polarized on both ends.
Yeah.
You know what I
Right,
mean?
yeah, right,
I'm going to go speak to all these people soon and present myself to designers, and I assume people are going to not be excited
wait.
when I'm first talking. But I think when we show you some visuals and we show you how we can benefit from it and how people can elevate their own lives and designers can make money,
Right.
then you're utilizing it correctly. That's all my
Say,
take
I
is.
actually, as a, even on the creative side, I love it. I love where people are going with their imaginations. So many AI creators on Instagram and other places are imagining, visioning things that are really so fabulous. Some of, you know, it's not doable yet, but if you can think of it, sooner or later, somebody can do it. And I love that piece because all that does is continue to drive all of us creatively, right? So the more opportunity there is for us to think outside the box and find ways of expressing outside the box.
There's an architectural firm in Brazil, I wish I remembered the name, who are using AI with their clients to come up with crazy, fanciful, ridiculous, not possible things and then designing them.
Yeah.
Nice. As an outsider, you're design professionals, most of you are design professionals. I am a lover of design and a mere design editor. There's a huge difference. So the moment that I knew that AI had potential was when something was fed to me on Instagram. It was the most beautiful room I had ever seen. And then it was like, boom, the light bulb went off, and it shows you what design can do. So
It just takes one of us to start there, right? That's the difference. You're using
Work with it.
work with it. Yeah.
you are so far not replaceable.
Currently.
Amen to that.
So are you seeing maybe the possibility of a little bit of backlash against this kind of the onslaught of technology? You talked a little bit about quiet rooms, about whole floors that are technology free. I mean, is the new luxury like a cave and a campfire?
Well, like you said, I mean, it's only getting bigger. But to your point, I think we always have to stay grounded. And it's all about balance. This is how I see life, always like a line. Mm-hmm. We have to be in the middle, very balanced. It's too much of technology or too much of quietness. I always encourage my clients to have spaces when they can connect, even when they're not, like sometimes you have people, you know, I speak to people that they're like, very stressful. They're just going to go on vacation just for the stress. And my mission is to, okay, you go to on vacations just to know the places and learn, but you want to come back to your house because you want to get back to yourself and connect and have these moments that not any technology will give it to you. I have a client right now, I'm designing a, it's called Puya Room. Whoever is from India right now here will know. And it's an amazing room I'm doing for them. So they're going to connect with their gods. And it's such a beautiful room that I'm also learning from them. Mm-hmm. And it's all disconnected. And it's an amazing, and I'm going to do another thing for them as a couple to connect, to have them connected. So I think we need those moments.
And I think we're probably all, that's amazing. I think we're probably all building wellness centers right now in clients' homes. That's the biggest new trend, I would say. That's the new media room is the wellness center, which is exactly what we're talking about.
And it's not about rejecting technology. The unplugged home is not about, that's not practical. It's not about rejecting technology. It's asking yourself very, very thoughtfully, does this serve me? Does this serve my home and my family? Am I still able to create a sanctuary? And I think sometimes it's going back to simplicity. I think we're longing for some simplicity in a lot of areas of our life. I think starting with our home, does it nurture us? Does it serve us? Does it enhance our everyday life? Or does it actually take away? That's really the question. I think that there are some elements of technology that do take away.
You said intentionally. That's I think the key there.
But there are also some elements that I think we aren't thinking about on a day-to-day basis that are being improved by technology, that are improving our everyday lives. For example, I went to a lecture recently about kitchen design, and they were talking about how they were researching different ways of making our homes healthier, and one of those ways was doing reusable materials, and so they researched with AI different ways that they could install kitchen countertops. And what we don't realize is kitchen countertops are all installed on plywood, and plywood is made with glue that is a forever chemical and never breaks down and never goes away. And so by doing this research with AI, they were able to come up with a very thin metal subtop that can be melted down, reused, have new materials put on top, and isn't giving off any gases or radiation. So like the technology is only going to get better. Right. I mean, we're looking at it from a position of like what we're touching, but even the stuff we're touching is going to go away once we have augmented reality really implemented in our homes. We won't have TVs. Our thermostats won't be on the wall. They're going to be virtual. And I know that sounds really fantastical.
Minority Report.
I know it sounds really fantastical, but like Meta already has the glasses in there, and they're like 4th generation, and they're doing great. And so it's happening fast. So we are going to be able to disconnect, and we're really going to have every space will be a space that's hands off unless you decide to put it on.
I think that's a great point, but who wants hands-on. I do. I want some hands-on, very tactile moments in my house where we're building a new home, and I am going to have a wood-burning fireplace in my kitchen because that goes back to something so utilitarian, so basic. I want my kids to grow up in a home where they experience things that they've got to, I want them to pull out board games and play on them and not just have digital screens where they're, you know what I mean? So that's kind of, you know, the unplugged home. Like, what is the balance? What's serving our children? What's serving us? There's some tactile elements that we're missing out on currently and that our kids are going to completely miss out on if we don't slow down and ask the question, what is valuable? What might they be missing or learning? Is technology actually hindering us in some ways? I mean, I think it's a really huge question, and it's worth, you know, it's worth pursuing. It's worth coming to a panel to hear about it.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, let's touch on the mind for another moment. Now, Ginger, you talked a little bit about neuroaesthetics,
Yes.
if I'm not mistaken. Could you explain that just for a moment and how that fits into the design trade?
Absolutely. Raise of hands, who has heard of neuroaesthetics? Oh, you're in for a treat. So this big word, right, neuroaesthetics, it's very, very simple. It just is the impact our environments have on how we live, how we feel, our well-being. That's it. It's how our environments make us feel. And so it's really, what's happened now is the medical communities and the science communities have come together. I'm talking Johns Hopkins, the Mayo Clinic, and we now have over a decade worth of data and information to tell us that our beautiful intentional homes are not sugar on the tongue. Can I get an amen? It's not just a pretty throw pillow. It's not, you know, we know this. Every one of you deep down knows this. It's why so many of us have pursued this as a career, as a calling, because you walk into a space and you feel something, you connect with something. And now science and technology are showing us that our blood pressure either goes up or it goes down. Dopamine is either released or cortisol is released. Now think about the impact of that over a lifetime in a home. Your blood pressure changing up or down? Are you releasing stress hormones in your body? All that to say, the study of neuroaesthetics and this topic that we're talking about today, and includes technology in our home. Does it serve us? Does it hurt us? It's about enhancing our everyday well-being, and that goes back to mental health, physical health. It's a really broad topic, and so I'm certainly very passionate about talking about neuroaesthetics because it is now a vehicle for designers. It has given us, and architects and the construction community, it has given us powerful verbiage to go back to our clients and the design community and say, guys, this is important. And in the commercial space, this has taken off, and you know, there's some hospitals and community centers that have done studies and have watched what happens when you put a view of nature in a hospital room, and they can see natural sunlight and some biophilic, like these trees back here are real, and I appreciate that. And when we interact with nature and fractal patterns, one of the studies that was done showed that these patients requested 50% less pain medication when they had natural views of nature and sunlight. That is powerful. And now think about our homes. Think about the offices that we go to every day. So,
Well, it sounds like it's what you do as design professionals, and now you have a good word for it. And so let's finish on the natural world, you know. And I know that AI, technology, et cetera, helps us and helps you as designers to make the most of the natural world. We talked about solar, natural light. So how can we sort of harness technology for our best benefits, just to continue to embrace the natural world?
Color, temperature, and light bulbs.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Can we get rid of the yellows and the oranges that are so offensive and ruin all of our paint colors? So
Yes,
that's
100%.
that
agree.
one
Dear
all
to
day long.
that,
Give it to me.
How else?
Resilient materials too, to natural lighting, as much as we can when we get the house, like, but it's not built, or if we're doing a renovation, just get the most natural light that we can.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of natural lighting. We're also doing a lot of like you would say organic materials or whole materials, not manipulated. We're going back to cotton, we're going back to linen, we're going back to 100% wool. We're going to we're going back to whole stone, or keeping the stone and not getting rid of it because environmentally it's better. So there's a lot of elements, like the last panel was talking about making sure that we can keep historic properties, and there's so many details that can stay and still be integrated into the future without having to get rid of them, and we're always thinking about that.
I agree on that. Yeah.
And just, I mean, for me, I've always been big about using recycled materials, sourcing from, so many places. And I'm not talking about antiques, I'm talking about actual building materials, windows, architectural salvage, and incorporating it in. And there are ways that you can do it that, through, for instance, let's say here we've got, the energy transfer from windows. We had single pane casements in our home here, and when we remodeled it, we stuck with that because it was a historically important house. Right. And so we did all that salvage, but then I did a bunch of research, and we ended up using denim insulation, which has an extremely high R value, plus it's good in our climate because we're dry enough, and it's much healthier for the installers than anything else on the market because it's cotton, it's recycled denim. But so using information that you're finding on the internet, there's so much deep diving we can do now into information, and with the calculations and stuff that people are doing, that we can really bring those things back in, have soul back in a house, not have everything be brand new. And it's just better for the planet in general. I actually wish that there were more architectural salvage places that were advertising major building materials, because it would be such a benefit to everybody. But
Yeah, Kristi, and going to that point is so important because America is a great country, but sometimes they're so used to have everything brand new. Mm-hmm. It's hard for people here. Sometimes I think we have to educate our clients how important it is, like me coming from Venezuela and Spain and all that. We are so used to preserve these elements that are there for hundreds and hundreds of years, and that we keep designing around them. We don't harm them, So I think it's about educate and not turn things down because it's 10 years old, and we want to do a new thing. It's something very important to be very bold about it.
Totally
agree. And have history, like have something to tell our kids in the future. Yeah. Not stop demoling stuff. That's my go-to for sure. Yes.
And to a couple of the points that you were making earlier, Jaqui, we can use technology to teach us certain things to maybe organize, find out about sources that can ultimately make our lives better. Technology on the back end. I hadn't even thought of that.
Well, I was about to say, when you mentioned a deep dive online, you could also just ask a virtual assistant, and they'll tell you in 35 seconds.
Yeah, exactly.
I usually try to skip that first thing, like, no AI answers, but it's working. How concerned are all of you with future-proofing? This will be our last little quick dive. How concerned are you for future-proofing your projects?
Like, break that down. What do you mean?
Like technologically.
Yeah, I think that everyone is seeing what's happening with technology, and we're all following what's going along with AI learning, and there's no avoiding the advancement and the clip at which it's going to go on. So the clients that we're working with have come to accept that there is going to be a new edition in 5 years. I mean, everything from home integration, switches, iPads, sound systems, our cars.
But less, like you're saying, sort of like taking the rack room in the project.
It's only going to get better,
making
but they're
it
anticipating
simpler.
that. So I think what's great is that we're consuming maybe a little bit less in anticipation of that happening, and we're focusing more on how we can utilize it for the best now. So the lighting systems, the window systems, those things aren't going to necessarily be obsolete very quickly, and like the exterior lighting systems and all that. Solar, those are all things that will contribute and have a longer shelf life.
I think my opinion also is that just plan the envelope of the house smart enough So as technology evolve, the house can evolve with it.
Yes.
So you can disconnect things that were obsolete or not usable anymore, but you have that connection, that electrical connection in the envelope that can grow with technology. That's very important, and has these materials that, again, are resilient and are durable, that can stay there forever, that will, to me, in my opinion, will never get out of style. A good marble or a good piece of something that it doesn't have to go away.
Right.
You know, that's something that we have that it's a hard job to do. So everybody thinks that our job is easy, but it's not. And
think
we
it's
have to
cute.
think about that as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that a concern for you? Do you think about, what's going to happen when this technology becomes obsolete?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think about built-in speaker systems, and I'm not talking about built into a piece of furniture. I'm talking about the ones that actually get built into the architectural features of the house, right? And, you put in a system and something stops working and you've got speakers that are plastered into your ceiling. You're ripping open the ceiling to try to get to it and then chase a wire. So there's certain things that it's like, is this something, where is this going? And how much potential damage or disruption is it going to cause to take this road, right? And so there are certain ones where we will do it. If it's something that's a beautiful finish, it's like if I've got a gold leaf ceiling, you better believe there's not going to be anything in there except maybe some very discreet lighting.
Well, Adam, you talked about the actual more vintage pieces that have been updated in speaker systems that you had mentioned that your clients are gravitating to that are not necessarily integrated but still great home systems that are
So many people are saying Sonos.
Everyone's using
The same
Sonos.
people who were telling me that you needed $50,000 worth of media room stuff
Right.
now are saying buy Sonos,
It's only Sonos.
Totally. Sonos is the best.
right?
But the product that you were saying, not
Caseta, yeah.
or not having a built-in audio system,
Right.
having
It's a headache. I think everyone's
standalone,
realizing that.
Beautiful
Oh, yeah, I love
you were
that.
saying-
Make it art.
make
Yeah.
it art. And a lot of Louis Vuitton just came out with a beautiful system, and so did
Of what?
Yves Saint Laurent came out with a beautiful sound system.
Oh, I
That's
didn't
a
know that.
countertop piece that plays music, and it's beautiful.
Smart.
And then there's a
Like
lot
furniture.
of
Yeah.
there's a lot of gorgeous pieces that can be part of the home without being built into it.
Exactly.
Yes.
And I think that's the best future proofing because you're not
Yes.
disturbing the substrate. You've got pieces that are mobile that can come and go.
Because it's
And
changing so
way
fast.
easier. Yeah.
Everything's going to be irrelevant
Yeah.
very quickly, and then irrelevant again.
So make it art. I like it.
Make
That's
it
a good
art,
mic
yeah.
drop. Okay, thank you all so much. Please
Thank
join me in
you.
thanking our esteemed panelists.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for sticking around.